up, guys? My name is Colton. This is my 2007 Toyota Camry. I made a video going over what I have done to this car. It's the only other video on the channel, really. So if you could check that out. Tearing this out to start a V8 rear-wheel drive conversion on my Toyota Camry. I know that sounds crazy, but it's kind of been something that's always been in the back of my head of doing. I just never had the guts to pull the trigger on something like that, and I think it's something I'm ready for, so I've started ordering parts. I do actually have the engine sold to Monkey Wrench Racing, so shout out to those guys for buying my engine off of me. Transmission, just going to try to get rid of that to whoever wants it, honestly. So yeah, that's sold, and gonna try to get my hands on a junkyard motor for now, just for mock-up, and then we'll see where that engine ends up. But I've got a rear subframe I'm going to try out that should be getting here shortly. Knuckles, all that good stuff. Hopefully it'll bolt in as easy as I'm thinking. I know some of this, well, quite a bit of this stuff is going to have to get hacked up and cut, but that's okay. I mean, jumping into something that really hasn't been done, not a bolt-in kit for this, so let's start getting this engine out of here. So you have a couple different options when you're removing an engine. The way I'm going to be doing this, because I want to remove the engine and the transmission, I'm going to be dropping the whole subframe as one unit. Engine and transmission still left together. So what I want to do is going to disconnect everything to the body of the car. So things like this whole steering assembly here. What I did was disconnected the lower ball joint. So just the control arm is on the subframe, and this whole unit here is just on the body of the car. Went ahead and disconnected things like the tie rod end, remove the axle from the hub. I'm going to pull the axles out of the car completely here in a minute. And then you want to start like removing the exhaust system on the car, disconnecting any wires you might see. So ABS wire I could probably leave and be fine. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. Coolant's drained out of the car. Once I get done on the underside, I'll come up top, start disconnecting things like wires, hoses, fuel lines, things like that. Okay guys, so for the most part I have everything disconnected underneath the vehicle. Did all the wiring up top here, had to take the intake off for that. Got the whole harness pretty much slopped over the side here. All my fuel lines are disconnected. Anything that should be attached from the body to the engine and trans is disconnected, and we'll find that out when I start dropping everything and notice if anything's pulling or tugging on the car. So I'm going to go ahead and get underneath this thing. Basically it's going to set this whole subframe on tires and then just lift the car up in the air away from it. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to be watching for any wires that I might have missed or any hoses or anything like that. One important thing that I did before I raised the car in the air, and I learned this from the last time, is I forgot to disconnect my flex plate from my torque converter. So I did that while it was in the air and easy and accessible to get to. So when I go to lift this engine away, all I got to do is undo my starter, the tranny to engine bolts, and then I can just lift and pull that thing away. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on actually getting the engine and all that good stuff dropped out of the car. Okay guys, so once again, and I never thought I'd have to see this day again, but the engine and cradle and trans and everything else is out of the car. As you can see, literally just left the engine and trans connected together on the subframe and lifted the car away from it. Just disconnected this whole heap of harness and all the hoses and axles and all that good stuff. So now the plan is to start separating the transmission from the engine, get the engine up on a stand and get ready to go to Michigan The transmission will get tucked in a corner somewhere, and then I will take the subframe, put it back in the car. That way I can roll the car around for the time being. And while I'm doing that, I'll probably go ahead and start cleaning and stripping the engine bay once again, getting ready for that V8 rear wheel drive swap. Also, in preparation for that, I will be dropping my fuel tank, because that has to go in order for my drive shaft to be able to go onto the car, along with, you know, this rear subframe and everything has to get changed out. So it looks like I do have a decent tunnel actually through here, so I might be able to work with that. It'll obviously have to get cut more towards the front for the bell housing and everything of the transmission, but and then probably cut through here, it looks like, for the drive shaft to run through. But I've actually got a decent amount of room to work with, so pretty excited to get started on that. Well guys, as you might see, I have the engine out of the Camry now. Sorry I didn't record much of that process. I had some family stop by and we ended up going out for dinner, and I got back to the shop, was just tired that I just hurried up and knocked everything else out of the way, got the shop cleaned up a little bit. But the engine is out. That is going to get shipped off soon, and we'll just come out here and take a look at the car. So here she sits. This is where she'll sit for some of the winter, but I don't wish I had a flashlight. But yeah, here sits the open, lonely engine bay on the old Slamry. And this is where she will sit until the V8 gets in. So yeah guys, pretty excited to have that out and done. I'll be getting that engine to Monkey Wrench Racing in a few days, and then we can start the V8 rear wheel drive on this thing. I'm pretty excited, and I hope you guys are too.